And now it's time for Healing from Within with your host, Tony Valen.
Welcome to Healing from Within. I'm your host, Tony Valen. You can contact me, Tony@TonyValen.com, or visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Follow the show on Twitter @TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen or the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. Joining us on today's show is Sheila Renee Parker. Sheila is an author, blogger, and empath. You can learn more about Sheila Renee Parker by going to sheilarparker.wordpress.com. Like Sheila on Facebook, Sheila-Parker-author-page on Facebook, and follow her on Twitter, Sheila R. Parker. Sheila, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Well, thank you. First question to you, as I do with everyone else, what are your gifts and how did your journey begin?
Well, I'm an empath, and that means that I can sense what others are feeling. I can also pick up on their energy, feel their moods and their emotions, and often I can even feel what they're, dealing with physically as well. And I always knew that I had this ability, but just didn't realize what it was called until I became an adult and started talking to other people who also had this ability. When I was younger, it was really difficult, feeling what others felt. Often I would confuse their emotions as my own until I learned how to differentiate between theirs and mine. Meditation really helped me out with this, and along with that, I keep constant contact with my spirit guides as well. They help me to, keep grounded with the situations and everything.
And when you protect yourself against other people's emotions or know that they're not coming from you, what is the process that you do?
Oh, what I do, I ask for white light protection. I'm a huge believer in that. And I also, use white candles to help to bring the light around me as well, to negate any negativity, because you don't want to welcome any kind of negative energy in, because that's going to help, keeping that protective energy around you. Everything that's positive will keep you protected, and keeping communication with my spirit guides, calling on them, and they come and whenever I need them as well, and they keep me protected. And it's really, really good to have that communication going. I'm a huge believer in that, and believing in, communication with spirits and everything like that, with spirit guides like your angels, and, and they help me keep grounded and to keep other emotions away from my own and muddling up things.
Now, do you consider yourself an empath? Are you also psychic? And by any chance, are you a medium?
No, I'm not a psychic or a medium or anything like that. I can't see what others can see, say they have that ability. I'm an empath. I can feel, the presence of other spirits and everything too. I just can't see them. And I can also smell their scents and everything. I know that sounds really weird, but I can honestly tell when another spirit is around or something because I can smell it. I just cannot see it like a psychic medium would. I don't have that clairvoyance ability.
And I was about to ask you, so you actually work with your clairs? All 5 of them, or?
Well, like I said, I've tried working with the clairvoyants, and I know that it is a learning process. I just haven't been able to successfully work with the clairvoyant part. But, claircognizant, clairsentient, and everything like that, to feel and to know, that's something I've always been able to do.
Based on what you do, would you say that you could possibly become a medical intuitive?
I have worked in fields where I worked, around clients and everything like that in the past. And I've always been very nurturing with that field that I worked in and everything. And I can pick up on people's needs, if you will, like if they're feeling ailments of any sort, I can pick up on that. And I've studied, like, not Reiki or anything like that, but reflexology and things like that as well, because your body is connected through so many different ways. And so it's something that I've, felt drawn to. It's something very, very easy for me to pick up on.
Yeah, definitely. Because I also, that's how I started, and that's how I started feeling, and I am empathic. One thing I can do, and I was going to ask if you can do, is do you have the ability to really dig into someone's soul, so to speak, and be able to identify deep-rooted issues to help them with that?
I do, very easily. And a lot of time people are, as weird as it may sound, they're drawn to me. I will have absolute complete strangers tell me things that they normally wouldn't tell people, and then they turn around and look at me and ask, why did I just tell you that? And,
Yeah.
I'm always, open to hearing everybody. I have no problem. And I love that. I love being able to help people because to me, it's fulfilling. And I honestly believe that's what I'm here for, is to help others.
Absolutely. Tell us about the power of the mind and spirit.
The power of the mind and spirit is something that I would consider as fantastic. It's something we all have, regardless of who we are. The power we possess is what defines us as individuals. So many of us aren't aware of what the great potential that we all have. When we realize our own power, that's when we can empower ourselves to a whole new level of enlightenment.
Talk to us about the undiscovered world of spirits, ghosts, gifts, and being open to the unknown.
Oh, wow, that's a whole mouthful right there. There's a whole other side out there to our physical world that we're really not aware of. A lot of people are, but there are so many that aren't, or they might be too afraid to tap into because, of certain upbringings and other things like that. But there are just so many things out there that we don't understand. But I do believe in the paranormal, because I've witnessed many things throughout my whole entire life, from shadow people to being touched by otherworldly things. And I strongly express caution when I talk to people about this, because caution needs to be exercised when dealing with the unknown, because often spirits can be malevolent. But there's no need to fear them. A lot of people fear them only because they don't understand them. The key is to just be careful and to have respect, because alive or not, everything deserves respect. And always have an open mind, because I firmly believe it's the key to understanding the unknown.
And when you talk to the listeners about protecting themselves from spirits, for example, someone walks into paranormal activity in a house, and how would they protect themselves? Like, what method could they use to protect themselves from this spirit?
Oh, well, first of all, I would always tell people, never sit there and try to poke and prod a spirit, because a lot of times automatically people will go into what they believe is a haunted house and automatically try to draw that energy out. Don't do that, because I firmly believe, you shouldn't. Again, that goes back to having respect. And what I do when I go into an unknown place, I ask my guides to stick with me, stay by my side, protect me. All that is, positive, just surround yourself with all of the light, because in the universe, in my belief, the universe has this immense power of, positive energy, and it's just there waiting to protect us. So why not call on that to aid you and to protect yourself in the unknown? Like if you're going into a haunted house, or what people would perceive as a haunted house, to protect yourself from spirits. Because honestly, a lot of spirits out there, they're not there to be malevolent. A lot of times they're just there, just passing through. And a lot of people will draw them out and everything and provoke them. And I just don't understand why people want to do that.
Yeah, probably curiosity, and then they get into something they can't deal with.
Exactly. And then they open up doorways they don't know how to close.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Has that ever happened to you, where you open a door because being empathic, you feel it, and then you can't close it, or can you close the door?
I've honestly never been in a situation to where I felt absolutely terrified or anything like that. I mean, except for when I was a child and not understanding my abilities when I was a kid. But, honestly, I've never been in a situation where I was in the presence of anything malevolent. I've never feared anything like that. And I go back to, giving thanks to my guides on that one.
Right. And what religious background were you raised in?
I was actually raised as a Baptist in the good old South. Yeah.
Really? What are their views on people like us?
Oh, that's another thing. When I was growing up, I couldn't really openly discuss what I was going through because I was always told not to question,
Yeah.
God and everything like that. And I'm not trying to, I'm a huge believer in everything, and everyone has their own beliefs and everything. But just the way I was raised, I was told never to question or anything. And if I brought up things like that, I just never felt comfortable enough. And I mean, I love my family dearly. I have a very supportive family and everything. But, it was just a different time, back then. I think as the years go on and, my mom, I finally actually came out to her like about a year or two ago, and I told her I'm an empath, Mom. And she, accepted that. She really didn't even understand, she didn't understand what it meant. And so I had to tell her. And so she was impressed, and, she never, downed me for it or anything. But a lot of times people feel scared to talk about it openly because of the difference between things,
Yeah. Do you think your mom was empathic and she just didn't want to admit to it?
I don't know. I really, really don't know, because the things that I can tell my mom that I can do, she's never went back and said, oh, I can do that too, or, oh, I can do that too. She's never, have that conversation with me. She has experienced like some paranormal things in the past, but not as far as like having any kind of abilities or anything like that.
Right. But
she's a great, great supporter, though. I'm a huge fan of my mom. I love my mom dearly.
Wonderful. But did she ever say something like, oh, I understand, like there's no further explanation, or? Really?
No, she actually was more inquisitive about it.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah.
And I mean, another thing that I can do, I can communicate with angels. I talk to them, like I said, the guides and everything. And I told her that I can do that, and she automatically was really, really inquisitive with that. And she's like, well, what do they sound like? And she was asking me all these questions.
Yeah.
And, I told her, I was like, Mom, it's not like a conversation that you and I are having. It's not like that. But, she was like, wow. And I told her, I said, I never told you this before because, I was scared to, because it wasn't, what everyone else was talking about,
Yeah. Is anyone in your family same like you, or do you think they just are and don't admit to it?
Honestly, I don't know. No one's never really come up and told me. And I mean, if they are, I really don't know. I can't say.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Yeah.
Tell us about the power of positive affirmation.
Oh, the power of positive affirmation. That's something else that I definitely believe in as well. I mean, being positive, it's a choice that we all have. Having a negative attitude never results in anything good. So why not have a positive attitude instead? If we all are positive and speak with positive affirmation on a daily basis, then think about all the wonderful things that we can create. I mean, of course it takes hard work and determination, but that's what needs to happen to make our dreams come true. Speaking with positive affirmation can create a world of wondrous manifestations. The 3 words that I live by and I absolutely love are dream, believe, succeed. Because if you dream, that's where reality comes from. As long as you believe in yourself and you know that it's going to happen, then you will succeed. And I firmly believe in that.
What are your thoughts on the difference between prayer and affirmation?
Prayer and affirmation. Oh my goodness, that actually can, that can coincide with each other very easily, in my opinion, because prayer is when you're asking for, from the universe. It's kind of hard to say because I don't want to dance on anyone's toes, in regards to beliefs and everything. But in my belief, prayer is something that you call upon, like, again, with your spirit guides, with the universe. I'm a huge believer with the universe and the energy. And speaking with a positive affirmation, I strongly believe that they go hand in hand together. And as long as you keep your faith, then, it's good things can happen. Good things can happen. Just
Yeah.
never lose faith, because with faith, that's where our hope and strength comes from,
Absolutely.
in my belief.
Yeah, I believe that too. You keep talking about your spirit guides. Is it a team of guides that you have? Do you know how many are working with you or that you're aware of?
I don't really know on the exact. I do know that I have one that I'm huge, close with every single day. But one of my dear friends who is a clairvoyant, she said that she saw several of them around me at one point. So I don't know exactly, and it's just not just me. I do believe that everyone has guides around them, but are the individuals willing to accept that they are there? A lot of times people are afraid of things that they don't see, but I do believe that each and every single one of us has our own guides. They're, the little voice in the back of your head, telling you not to do this because it might cause danger, or, look out for this, don't run that red light, things like that. So, I mean, it's like that little voice of reason for you as well. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. And the thing that always throws me for a loop, and no offense to anyone, but I can tell them about spirit guides and it kind of freaks them out. But if you talk to them about guardian angel, that's a different thing.
Different. Yep.
So,
Yep.
I think it's just terminology.
It's because I believe it's the same. I mean, It's just like I have different names. I have Sheila, I have mom, I have daughter. Just like spirit guides can be spirit guides, angels, guardians, however you want to, whatever you're comfortable with.
In your blog, you were talking about pilgrim figurines. Tell us the story.
Okay, that happened a long time ago, more than 2 decades ago. I was a kid growing up in my mom's house, and we had this really, really beautiful china cabinet in the hallway. And right in the center at eye level, we had these 2 pilgrim figurines. One was a little boy and one was a little girl. And they had like these primitive type fishing poles. My mom always had them displayed facing outward. And so many times we would wake up the next morning and it was like someone had picked them up, turned them perfectly around with their backs facing us. And my mom and I, we asked each other, did you do this? Did you do this? And of course, neither one of us did it. And we tried so many different times to debunk it, like maybe our vibrations from walking past, like maybe shaking the floor or something like that, could have turned them around. But if that were the case, then why weren't the china plates moved? Why didn't they get knocked over? But these dolls were never knocked over. They were just perfectly put back, like their backs were facing us. Regardless of whether or not we turned them back facing outward, we would wake up the next morning and their backs would be turned completely around, with their backs out. And I asked my mom recently about the history of these dolls, and she said they belonged to a great aunt who obviously she's no longer with us. And my mom believes it was a family member that was doing that. Not to harm, but just enough to say, hey, I'm here, right. And my mom, she still has those dolls. She told me when I wrote that article, because I asked her permission before I posted it because I didn't want to offend any family members or anything like that. Right. And she said that she still has them and she's wanting to give them to me, but they're in another state right now. So
one more story that caught my eye was the Ouija board story. Tell us about that.
Gosh, that was... Now that I'm an adult, I don't really get scared on certain things like that. But when I was a kid, that happened when I was 17 years old. I was with a couple other teenagers. It was the weekend, night. Of course, we were unsupervised because parents were gone, out doing their nightly, weekend thing. And we were bored. So one of us said, hey, why don't we just pull out the Ouija board? What did the rest of us say? We said, okay, sure, go ahead. So they pulled it out. And because, it was one of those big name, companies that have the board games out. We didn't think any harm. And so we sat there in the living room. We had candlelight, in the living room and in the next room as well. And we started playing with it, just asking questions and everything. And we had all of our fingertips on the planchette. Nothing moved. And so we waited patiently, waited a few more minutes. And then all of a sudden, the planchette barely moved. And so we were all like, gasping because it scared us. And we were all asking each other, because we were all a bunch of girls, oh, you're doing that? And they were like, no, we're not doing that. So inquisitive that we were, we asked more questions. And it said that the individual, the spirit, said that they had died in a train wreck many, many, many years prior to that, that night. And I thought that, and it was in a local situation, they had said. And I thought that was kind of weird, though, because where we were way out in the country, nowhere near train tracks, nowhere near it. But anyway, long story short, so we're sitting there and asking questions, and we asked it, well, are you here to harm us? And it said, no, I'm not here to harm you, basically no answer. And then we asked it, well, do you plan on coming back, to the physical realm? And it says yes. And we're like, well, who are you going to come back as? And they mentioned a name of an individual who was already living. And we all knew that wasn't true, because we're like, how can you be coming back in the form of reincarnation if this person is already alive, but you're sitting here talking to us through the Ouija board, and this person isn't even nowhere near us in another city? And so we got really quiet. We were, like I said, we were teenagers. We were scared. And then all of a sudden we asked, a couple of other questions, and it didn't respond back to us. And then all of a sudden the candle in the next room just automatically fell over, made a loud crash noise, a very securely fit candle that was sitting on the table, no way that it could have knocked over by itself. And we asked the spirit, did you knock over that candle, just to ask, and it said yes. And so we were all freaked out, of course, and we said, okay, that's it, no more to do with that Ouija board. So to this day, I don't even know what happened to that Ouija board. I don't care to know, and that was the only time I will ever mess with one. I tell people in a heartbeat, do not ever mess with Ouija boards, because you do not know who you're talking to. Sometimes, people can be playing tricks on each other and move the planchette themselves. But I guarantee you, me and the other girls that we were with, I was with, none of us moved it, because we were all in tears. We were so afraid. And it was just, it still sticks in my mind, even though it happened so many years ago. I still remember every vivid detail like it happened yesterday. And I strongly will tell people in a heartbeat, never mess with a Ouija board, because you do not know what you're messing with. Spirits can be malevolent. Some spirits can lie. You just do not tamper with it. Leave it well enough alone.
Yeah, and I've always heard that spirits that communicate through an Ouija board will usually lie and say
Absolutely.
things, and you can't trust it.
Exactly. Absolutely. And a lot of times, once you open that door, a lot of people thinking it's just a board game. They don't know how to close it once the reality sets in.
Absolutely. Yep. Mm-hmm. This is Tony Valen, host of Healing From Within. You can contact me, Tony at TonyValen.com, or visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Follow the show on Twitter at TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing From Within with Tony Valen, or search for Tony Valen channel on YouTube. We are talking to our guest, Sheila Renee Parker. Sheila is an author, blogger, and empath. You can learn more about Sheila Renee Parker by going to sheilar.wordpress.com. Like Sheila-Parker-author-page on Facebook, and follow her on Twitter, Sheila R. Parker. Now, Sheila, I introduced you as a blogger. Tell us about that.
Blogging to me, I actually love doing it, because it gives me an ability to write about what I truly love and what I'm passionate about. I write new articles weekly, and they're always about different things, like, the different aspects of the paranormal. And I talk about the different types of hauntings, like residual and intelligent hauntings. I also talk about supernatural abilities, even with my own experiences, like we were just talking about the Ouija board and the pilgrim figurines. And I also conduct interviews with, some amazing people like Paranormal Investigative Team, Morbid Curiosity, Nadine Mercy from a television series called Ghosts in Our House, and Steve DeShavi from the Dead Files. He's even been interviewed on my blog. And also Rob Demarest from Ghost Hunters International has been on my blog as well. It's just a lot of fun. I enjoy doing weekly articles. I love getting the feedback from my readers. To me, it's just so much fun. And I don't know why I didn't start doing it sooner, to be honest with you, because I should have been doing this a long time ago. Because, I really enjoy it.
Really?
Because I love the interaction that I get from my readers, my followers, because not only am I sharing with them, they're also sharing with me. And I love the different perspective that people, have, the views and everything, because I'm open-minded, and to see that everybody else is open-minded, their ways too. And I love it. It's just so much fun for me.
Absolutely. And that's the same type of experience I get through this radio show also. I get to meet people, and I get to learn so much from different people and different views. So I understand that you're also a speaker. Tell us about the topics you talk about.
Well, I discuss the paranormal, just like I do in my blog. I love the interaction that I get from everyone who attends. I talk about, pretty much the same thing that I do in my blog. I bring it out forward, and with them, the people who attend, they share with me their experiences as well. So it's not a live version of my blog. I don't want to go as far as saying that, but I do discuss so many different topics and everything. And I also talk about my book as well, my writings as well. And so it gives me that opportunity too. And I get to go to different locations, and I love that. I mean, it's just being a public speaker to me is very, very rewarding. I love it because, on my blog, I get to meet different people. But when I do public speaking events, I get to meet them one-on-one, and it's more of a personal experience for me. And to interact with them and pick up on their energy, being the empath that I am, so many people are inquisitive, and I love that. I feed on that because to me, it's interaction, and we get to learn from each other. And, that's just, to me, it's very, very rewarding.
And are you doing this as your job? I mean, is this your career? Is that what you're doing?
I multitask, to be honest with you. I also work in retail as well. So I do several different things.
I understand. I think we all do. You're a writer, and you have written a book entitled The Spirit Within. Tell us about your book.
My book, The Spirit Within, it's a paranormal romance that's perfect for young teens, young adults, and everyone who believes in the spirit within. It's a story that I wrote a few years ago, and I felt really passionate about it. Once I started writing it, I couldn't stop. I couldn't put it down. It took me about 3 months to write it, and I'm currently working on the sequel to it right now.
Wonderful. Let's talk about Cassandra Blackmore and Rael Nichols.
Okay, well, they are actually two of the main characters in the book. Cassandra, she's also known as Cassie, and she lives with the love of her life, Raleigh, and until he starts sinking into a deep level of alcoholism and unleashes an abusive side upon Cassie that she's never seen before. As she's faced with her worst fears, she discovers her own level of inner strength that empowers her to rise above Raleigh's brutal attacks. All the while, Cassie also discovers supernatural abilities that she never knew she had, like premonitions, telekinesis, and even levitation.
What were the family secrets?
I can't really give out that too much because then I would be giving a spoiler on that one. But I will just say this much. I will say to pay close attention to the characters because there's a twist that explains the importance of their family.
Okay. Cassie finds strength from something she does not understand. What is it?
Her strength emerges from her own intuition. Cassie discovers the spirit within herself, her own sense of power.
Sheila Renee Parker's book can be purchased on Amazon in paperback and for Kindle. You're an internationally acclaimed poet. Can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah, I began writing poetry more than 2 decades ago. It started off when I was barely a teen. And as the years went by, I continued penning my thoughts and feelings onto paper, then eventually becoming published. My first publication was in a book with other poets, and I remember being so nervous at the book signing for it. I got to meet a lot of great people, though, and had a lot of fun with it. Poetry, to me, it's such a beautiful form of expression. Anyone can do it. All they got to do is just sit down, a notebook, a pencil, doesn't take much. Write your feelings, and there you go. You've got some beautiful haiku going on or some beautiful lyrics for a song. I mean, we all have this ability in us. Poetry is beautiful in motion. And some of my poetry is actually listed on my blog site. So if anyone wants to check that out, it's on there as well.
So what's next for Sheila Renee Parker?
Oh, wow. The completion of the sequel to my novel, The Spirit Within. In this next book, Cassie's story continues with more intense romance, a greater sense of empowerment, and, of course, lots more of the paranormal. I'm extremely excited about this next one.
Well, Sheila, thank you so much for being on the show with us. We really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you so much. I enjoy it as well.
Our thanks to Sheila Renee Parker. Sheila is an author, blogger, and empath. You can learn more about Sheila Renee Parker by going to sheilarparker.wordpress.com. Like Sheila-Parker-author-page on Facebook and follow her on Twitter, Sheila R. Parker. Sheila Renee Parker's book can be purchased on Amazon, in paperback, and for Kindle. You are listening to Healing from Within with Tony Valen here on Blog Talk Radio, airing Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. Visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Contact me directly, tony@tonyvalen.com. Please follow our show on Twitter, @TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. Thank you so much, and love and light from all of us here at Healing from Within.